Imagine waking up one morning, checking your email, and finding a bill for over $3,000 for a bag you sent 5 months ago. A bag that already arrived, a bag that cost less than €200 total. No warning, no explanation, just a demand for money that makes absolutely no sense. That is exactly what happened to one person who posted their story online, and the response was so overwhelming, so many people couldn't believe it was real, that they had to rewrite the whole thing just to handle the flood of questions. So today we are breaking down exactly what happened, what it means legally, and most importantly, what you should do if this ever happens to you. Let's set the scene. A person living in the United Kingdom purchased what's called an IDA bag from Poland. If you're not familiar, an IDA bag is a type of clear-windowed bag popular in fan and hobby communities used to display pins and accessories. Cute bag. Niche hobby item. Nothing particularly exotic or expensive. The total cost of the purchase was €164 for the item itself, €35 for shipping, bringing the grand total to €199. That's roughly $220 at current exchange rates. They had the bag sent to an address in the United States, specifically Pennsylvania. The bag arrived in November. Everyone was happy. Case closed, or so they thought. 5 months later, 5 months, an email arrives from what appears to be FedEx. And this isn't some vague phishing attempt asking for a credit card number. This is an invoice, sitting right there on the official FedEx.com website, itemizing charges that look like this. Customs duty, $3,038.08. A disbursement fee of $62.08. A merchandise processing fee of $65.78. Grand total $3,165.94. For a bag worth about €200. Sent 5 months ago, already delivered, already sitting in someone's home. Now, before we go any further, the first instinct most people have, and it's a completely reasonable instinct, is that this must be a scam. Phishing emails pretending to be FedEx, UPS, DHL, they are everywhere. But this person was careful. They have a font on their phone that highlights irregular characters, the kind that scammers use to make fake URLs look real by swapping out letters for similar-looking foreign characters. They checked. The URL was legitimate. When they went directly from Google to FedEx.com and pasted in their tracking number, the invoice was right there, on the real website. This was not a phishing scam, and that's what made it so much more terrifying. Here's where the story gets even stranger. When they entered that tracking number on FedEx.com, 2 packages came up. 2. On the same tracking number. One of them was the bag, delivered back in November, just like expected. The other one had almost no information at all, just a message saying, "We have your package," and a date that matched the invoice exactly. The November delivery and the invoice date were a few days apart, so something very unusual was going on with that tracking number. Either there was a data error on FedEx's end, a duplicate shipment somehow got flagged, or there was some kind of system glitch that generated a second customs event for a package that had already cleared months ago. Whatever the cause, the result was a bill for over $3,000 landing in someone's inbox out of nowhere. They called FedEx UK. Dead end, told they couldn't help with this. They called FedEx US. Another dead end. The automated system wouldn't connect them to a human being without a FedEx account number, which they didn't have because they were not the shipper of record. They sent a DM to FedEx's support account on Twitter. They sent additional emails. They tried everything they could think of remotely because, and this is important, they do not live in the United States. They cannot just walk into a FedEx location. They are in the UK, the bag is in America, the invoice is in the system, and nobody at the company would talk to them. Now let's talk about what is actually going on here from a legal and logistical standpoint, because this situation is more complicated than it first appears. And understanding that complexity is actually the key to fighting back. When goods are imported into the United States, customs duties and fees are calculated based on the declared value of the merchandise. The rules are set by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, not by FedEx. FedEx is just the broker. They facilitate the customs clearance process on behalf of the shipper or recipient. If customs duties are assessed, FedEx pays them up front and then passes that cost on as a bill to the importer of record. That's where this invoice is coming from. But here's the thing. A customs duty of over $3,000 on a $200 bag makes no mathematical sense. Even under the highest possible duty rates for handbags imported to the US, which generally fall somewhere between 5 and 20%, the duty on a €199 item would be somewhere between $10 and $40, not $3,000, not even close. So what could explain a number this absurd? A few possibilities. First, the value of the goods may have been wildly misclassified or misreported somewhere in the paperwork chain. If the declared value was entered incorrectly, say in the wrong currency or with extra zeros, the duty calculation would be based on that inflated number. Second, and this connects to the mysterious second tracking entry, there may have been a system error where FedEx or Customs processed what they thought was a new, uncleared shipment, when in reality it was already delivered months ago. Third, there could be a clerical error in the harmonized tariff code used to classify the item. Different product categories have very different duty rates, and if someone coded the bag under the wrong category, it could theoretically generate an inflated charge, though still not this inflated. So what do you actually do? Here is the step-by-step path forward for anyone facing a situation like this. First, do not pay. Do not pay anything while the situation is unresolved. Paying even a partial amount can be interpreted as acceptance of the debt. If the charge is erroneous, and there is strong reason to believe it is, paying it makes it significantly harder to get your money back. Second, document everything. Screenshot the invoice, the tracking page, both package entries, every email you've received, every confirmation of calls you've made. Build a paper trail right now. Third, contact U.S. Customs and Border Protection directly. FedEx is a middleman here. CBP is the actual authority that assesses these duties. You can reach them through their online portal or by calling their information center. Explain that you received a customs invoice you believe to be erroneous, provide your tracking number and the invoice details, and ask for clarification on how this assessment was calculated and whether it can be disputed. Fourth, file a formal protest. Under U.S. Customs law, importers have the right to formally protest customs duty assessments. The deadline for filing a protest is generally 180 days from the date of liquidation, which is the official date CBP finalized the duty calculation. A formal protest is filed using CBP Form 19, and it triggers a review process where a customs officer re-examines the assessment. You do not need to be physically in the United States to file this form. Fifth, escalate with FedEx in writing. Forget the phone calls. Write a formal letter or email to FedEx's Customer Relations or Billing Disputes Department, clearly stating that you are disputing the invoice, the reasons why, and that you are initiating a CBP protest. Having this in writing creates a record and may trigger a different level of response than a phone call to a generic customer service line. Sixth, if you're in the UK, you can also contact the Citizens Advice Bureau for guidance on cross-border consumer disputes. And look into whether your original payment for the bag was made on a credit card, because some credit card providers offer purchase protection or dispute services that could be relevant depending on how things develop. Finally, consider consulting an international trade attorney or a licensed customs broker for a single consultation. Many of them offer low-cost or even free initial consultations, and they speak the language of customs law fluently. A 15-minute conversation could tell you exactly where this charge came from and exactly how to fight it. The broader lesson here is one that applies to anyone who ships internationally or receives international packages. Customs charges are real. They are legally enforceable, but they are also fallible. They are generated by systems and human beings who make mistakes. You have rights in this process. You have the right to dispute. You have the right to ask for the calculation methodology. You have the right to formal review. The system assumes most people will either pay out of panic or go away out of frustration. Do neither. And know this, a $3,000 customs charge on a €200 bag is not a normal outcome. It is almost certainly an error of some kind. The key is knowing who to escalate to, how to document your dispute, and how to keep the pressure on without throwing money at a problem that isn't actually yours to pay. If this happened to you, if you've received an unexpected customs charge that seems completely disproportionate to what you actually sent or received, drop a comment below with your situation. These cases are more common than people realize, and the more visibility they get, the harder it becomes for these charges to just slip through unchallenged. And if you found this breakdown useful, subscribing takes 2 seconds and means you'll be ready the next time something like this lands in your inbox.